everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. And I am reacting to Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. And as you'll notice, this is a re-record. I recorded initially right after the theater, as I tried to do, and it was too dark and too windy. And unfortunately, the recording just wasn't good enough. So even if this isn't a high production value channel, I still don't want to put out something that's really bad. So here are my thoughts, and I'm going to kind of summarize, what I said before. This is a movie that I was really looking forward to. I regret now, and I regretted then, not seeing the first movie in the theaters. Marvel doesn't have a good track record with animated films, but this is a Sony film, which you'll notice there's a few Sony product placements. Actually, kind of clever. I'll give them credit for that. Um, but this is a movie that I think you kind of need to have seen that first movie. You also have to be a Spider-Man fan. Having read the comic books, I've been reading Spider-Man for 45 years, I would say. Watched every cartoon and movie and everything. I love Spider-Man. So pretty familiar with the idea, this concept behind this contained Spider-Verse, where Spider-Man is more than just your friendly neighborhood hero. He's this avatar that is necessary for each of the universes to exist properly. And things need to go a certain way, right? Spider-Man needs to have his tragic loss, and Spider-Man needs to get bit by the spider. And if one Spider-Man dies, then that power will transfer on to another. And that's something that is all addressed within this movie. It was definitely brought up with the first movie, which I thought was a really good contained story and explored that multiverse. There were things, with animation that you can do that you just can't do in a traditional film, with just the insanity of that final sequence. Especially in the first movie. In this, I think they take that and they just extrapolate, they explode it. It is the first movie, but frenetic and chaotic and times 10. They crank the volume up to 11, right? So this movie is also, it's not just a Miles Morales movie, though he is the protagonist. This is also a Gwen Stacy story, and it's talking, about how are they dealing with life now that they came together and then had to separate. So what is going on? And of course, if you've seen any of the previews or know kind of what's going on, they're going to bring in all these other Spider-Men as well. And I'll get to that in a little bit. The animation is just top notch. The animation it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's dynamic. Within the first 20 minutes of the film, there is an action scene that I think blows away anything that we saw in the other movie, and it just sets this bar really high that I think mostly the movie sticks to. I think the other thing that where the first movie was this, for me at least, was this shocking, beautiful, amazing animation. The music as well. I don't know that the music held up quite as well in this film. I'm not going to put the soundtrack necessarily on to listen to like I do with the first one. But it's still, it's good. It fits the story. It fits the characters. And one of the things that they do extremely well with the music and with the animation, and of course the voice actors, everybody who's in this movie, I think it is absolutely fantastic. But what they do is they marry the animation style with the characters even better than they did it, because the first movie was all in Miles's world, so you saw everything from his perspective. When we see Gwen Stacy's world, we see a different animation style, and at first I was like, this is a little strange. It doesn't feel like the first movie. Well, obviously it doesn't feel like the first movie because this is now about Gwen, and the animation in that, people are holding things and it's kind of painted out, and the backgrounds are sort of this French animation style where everything is sort of this washed out watercolor and there isn't a whole lot of detail. And I was kind of thinking like this is a little disappointing that they aren't going as deep with the backgrounds and with the scenery. Um, but for the Gwen Stacy scenes, it's about Gwen Stacy and her family and what's going on in her world, and they do kind of, I think, drive through some of that a little bit too quickly, which is going to be strange with where I'm going to go with this. Um, and with the Miles, I think that going back to that, we have his backgrounds are sort of blended out. We don't see them in focus. Um, and I think overall, maybe there's 5 or 6 different animation styles. Too many. I'm fine with a few of them. I really like how they do that. And the difficulty of marrying, tying those styles together and making them fit cohesively. I can't imagine the work involved with that. I've done limited animation work myself, and I mean, obviously nothing approaching this, but it definitely makes me appreciate. There's this scene where Captain Morales is, he's chasing after so the bad guy's Spot, and Miles is fighting him, and um, his dad is trying to keep up, and he has to go down these steps, and he goes down like taking these really short, quick steps so he can get down quickly but not fall. And the attention to detail there with how his body is moving and how the camera is following, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Um, that being said, I do feel like this movie, I think it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Um, this movie goes on a bit too long. I was starting to feel a bit worn out. I have read a lot of Spider-Man. I've watched a lot of Spider-Man, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is what I don't like about Spider-Man. I love the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I love, fighting the villain as he's trying to steal the ATM machine, and that was cool and that was fun. And there's some really funny moments in that, but it just there was a bit too much. There are too many sort of inside jokes. Like, you know, I guess I'm gonna give a little bit away here. I when he's in the actual Spider-Verse hub, the Nexus, um, obviously they pull the meme, right? You've all seen the 3 Spider-Men pointing at each other. They do to the meme. I'm not gonna give too much away on that. Um, there's some other, bits references to other characters who are other people who have played Spider-Man. There are even, when there were rumors about different people that might be Spider-Man in movies or what role they might be in, the Amazing Spider-Man film or whatever. They kind of reference all that, and maybe that's a bit too much. Maybe it's all way too much. Some of the scenes are absolutely, amazing. They're cool. Scarlet Spider is up on this rooftop, and he's posing, and the rain is coming down, and it's an iconic comic book cover. And there's a lot of those scenes in here. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background where I'm sure a channel like New Rock Stars is just going to town with like, oh, look at all the Easter eggs, and that is absolutely there. But what happens is it drags down, I think, the actual story. It gets a bit too convoluted, gets a bit too complex. This, even though I went to a 7 o'clock show, there were a lot of kids there, a lot of grandparents that looked like had taken their kids. And I don't know how well they're going to stick with this. Now, this is whatever, the 15th Spider Man movie, I'm not going to count right now, that we've had. So we obviously need to go somewhere else with the stories. We need to do something different. But there was too much. This movie was, in the end, too long. And, just to wrap that up, as far as in the end, this movie doesn't end. Right, this movie ends on a cliffhanger, and I'm sorry for dropping that spoiler, but the anger that I felt, the confusion that I felt, and as someone who, Everything Everywhere All at Once is my all-time favorite movie, and I remember watching that, and there's a sequence in there where the movie ends, but it doesn't end. I'm like, wait, is this what is happening? But no, it ends again, quote, ends um with the characters that we really want to see coming back instead of this Ready Player One sequence where it's like, here's a million Spider-Men and they're all doing different things and you don't get a chance to learn or see anything really about them. Um, so I'm hoping that in the next movie, because yeah, there's a next movie, they're going to explore that a little more. We'll get back to those the Gwen Stacy's and the Spider Ham and the Spider-Man Noir. Get back to them a little bit more. I do want to see a little more Scarlet Spider. Andy Sandberg was the voice, and it was good. I do want to see more Spider-Man 2099. I think Spot actually turned out to be an interesting villain. I thought he was going to be kind of a meme, a joke character, and they do make some jokes about him being the villain of the week, and So, yeah, I mean, the whole theater you could feel was just kind of like, what the fuck? What is going on here? And my youngest son had gone to see it with a friend in a different theater. And so afterward, we're talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, people were yelling. People got kicked out." Now he's 13, so he's a little dramatic, right? So maybe that didn't happen, but um, yeah, people were definitely confused and upset. And the next one doesn't come out. I did look it up quickly. It doesn't come out until March 2024. Like, what the hell? This needed to be sort of a Lord of the Rings or whatever, where it's like this movie is out, and then 3 to 6 months later, there's the next movie so that we can wrap this up. Speaking of wrapping it up, I'm looking at my time here, and this is way longer than I tend to ever go. So, real quick, see it, stream it, skip it. I think if you're a fan of the first one, you're a fan of Spider-Man, definitely see this movie. Just be prepared that it really feels the full 2 hours and 20 minutes, the runtime that this movie is. Stream it, again, if you want. You're not going to miss anything. This is not connected to the MCU. You're not going to miss anything. There are no end scenes that are, weird nods to other stories or anything like that. This movie is contained. I think, even though I'm still unsure whether I loved this movie, I'm definitely going to watch it again and again when it comes to streaming. Um, if you have no idea what's going on with Spider-Man, you didn't see the first movie or whatever, then go ahead and skip it. So, I don't know what's next. I don't even know what movies are coming out. There's a few that I think look interesting. So I don't know. Sometime this week I'll get out and see another one. And I appreciate everyone. Please, like and share and subscribe, all that YouTube stuff that I'm not good with. I never remember to do. But if you could, I would really appreciate that. And I will see everyone after the next movie.